Okay, it's 5:32 p.m. Board is here, and let's see, good victim today. All right, Heather wants to do it. All right, let's.
You're staring me down.
All right, let's do the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please here. Okay, first item of business, approval of the minutes, February 20th.
Kevin Zaitani, I approve the minutes from February 20th, 2024.
Christine DeStasia, I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion, changes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carlene, are you on? Aye. Okay, so it's an aye from Carlene also. So Carlene is joining us remotely. Greg will be joining us remotely later too. Let's see. That was it, right? The February 20th, okay. All right, then we get into the recognition awards.
Okay. Before I do the recognition awards, March, as everyone knows, is a great month, not just for St. Patty's Day, but it's Board of Education Member Appreciation Month in Connecticut. And our school children benefit every day from the dedication, energy, and commitment to public education of school board members. So let's all say a big thank you and applaud the members of our Board of Education. While Amber was in one of our local stores, we like to support our local businesses. If everyone can look at their sign that we gave, it's a Norwich sign. It's purchased from Small Potatoes here in Norwich. And it's created by Jack De Silva at Custom License Plate Creations. So each one is unique.
He's also a vocal artist too.
Correct. Yep. So thank you for all you do. We appreciate it. All right, we're gonna get on to the awards, and I just want, since this is the second month we've done it like this, I'm gonna have each person that for the award gonna just come up here when I read it, and then go ahead and sit down afterwards, and then we're gonna take a 5-minute break afterwards to go outside just to do some photo ops. So keep that in mind, and we're gonna start with You Inspire Me Student Award for March 2024. Emma Hauser, can you come up here? So about Emma. So Emma is at Moriarty School, grade 4 with Mrs. Twitchell. Emma Hauser is an amazing young lady who is everyone's friend. She is always looking out for others and making sure everyone is happy and has help if needed. The empathy she displays for others is exceptional and is a regular source of comfort for her peers. She has a positive attitude every day and loves to dance and have fun. She cares about her schoolwork and is always taking opportunities to better herself as a student. We need more people in the world like Emma, and this was submitted by Principal Dr. Fabella. Okay. Next, we have You Inspire Me for support staff. Tabitha Gribinger Martin, can you come up? So Tabitha is at Waquanic School. She's a BCBA. She's nominated by Principal Bysensky, Kim. Tabitha's exceptional dedication and unwavering commitment to supporting the students of Waquanic truly embody the spirit of this award. Tabitha goes above and beyond in her role to ensure that every student receives the support they need to thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. Her dedication to student success is evident in her proactive approach to identifying and addressing the needs of each individual. She consistently demonstrates patience, flexibility, and a collaborative spirit in her interactions with students, colleagues, and families alike. Her genuine care and concern for the well-being of students shine through in everything she does. Tabitha's willingness to step in and support students in various capacities sets her apart. Her upbeat, positive attitude is infectious. Thank you. That's without your award, Tabitha.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should not be sorry.
All right. And the last one is the Key is Me Award, and it goes to Ryan Morse. Ryan, can you come up? So Ryan's a Kelly Middle School physical education and health teacher. He is admired and respected by his students and peers. He is a team player who makes Kelly a special place. Principal Lumpers says Ryan is key to the positive climate and culture of the building. He creates a safe environment in the gym and health room. He's been a great leader with the athletic program as well with coaching the boys basketball team. Lisa Cormier, I have known Ryan for several years and have seen him go above and beyond to make personal connections with all his students. Congratulations. All right, we'll take just like a 5-minute break and we'll go out outside and take pictures.
We have some special guests with us from both of our designated high schools. If you remember last year, we reduced the number of designated high schools down to Norwich Free Academy and Griswold High. So tonight we have both those schools coming to us tonight to give a presentation. At Norwich Free Academy, we have Richard Freeman, the Director of Finance and Human Resources, and Dr. Nathan Cornell, Head of School. Head of School, that just doesn't sound. I'm going to call you Imperator Augustus.
Oh, wow.
All right? Which means August Emperor.
I like it. Seems like a lot.
That's your new team, you know. I learned Latin at NFA, so there we go. Okay, and you can come on up, take a seat.
We got a couple little, thank you for having us. We have a little goodies here to,
Thank you.
don't carry away. We have the presentation here. So,
Set expectations appropriately, Bob.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll keep you awake. Sure you do.
John gets home with you, doesn't have all this.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Those are nice.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah. Sure it gets to Addison.
Well, good evening, and thank you very much for having Rich and myself here. It's great to be here. I've ran by this school. I'm a runner, so Joseph Perkins is a great. If you're a runner, that's a test. So I've ran by here many times, but I've never been inside. And what a beautiful school, and really am grateful for the opportunity to come here tonight and share a little bit on NFA and talk a little bit about us and hopefully answer questions and respond to you guys as well. So that's kind of the agenda. You have a little packet there. I get a coffee cup, and we didn't bring you a notepad. You don't have to take notes tonight, but it's there. And before we started, just really wanted to thank Susan for her work, her time here. It's been a pleasure to work with Susan. And, you know, I think obviously as a school that is situated in the heart of Norwich, and your students are our students and our students are your students. That spirit of collaboration that Susan brings to the table is something that I truly value and grateful to be a part of. So I guess I'm kind of having to lose. I'm new here line. I've been here for I think 8 months now. I've been here since July. My prior life, I was a superintendent in East Hartford Public Schools, so worked in an Alliance district. Worked with Norwich for many years. I was the co-chair of the Alliance committee for the state of Connecticut, and I was a teacher, coach. Did every job in the school system in East Hartford. I was there for 21 years. And it has just been a real pleasure to come to Southeast Connecticut, pleasure to come to NFA, and a pleasure to be here in Norwich and work with you as a community and your board as well. And Chairman Koulos, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight, and also appreciate you attending our meetings as you do and being a part of that. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So I want to dive in here, and you know, sometimes I feel like you put a picture like this, and tonight really kind of a two-part presentation. First part I want to talk a little bit about is the programs at NFA and who we are. And I certainly know for most of you, this is me experiencing the learning and doing this. Many of you went to NFA. I believe John is NFA. And, and so today I'm probably going to tell you about a lot of things you already know. And for that, I apologize, I guess. But as somebody who's new to this, I can tell you that this is such a place that in a short time, for me, a sense of pride and a sense of awe and a sense of opportunity. And I hope, you know, I noticed obviously our kids, it turns out they didn't want to hang out for the Board of Ed meeting tonight. I can't blame them. I don't know if I would either. But, you know, I hope that we can create that sense of awe in them, and that they can feel that awe as they make this transition, certainly from Kellyan teachers to NFA and become Wildcats and members of the Wildcat community. So, you know, for us, talking about NFA programmatically, two parts of the presentation, we talk programmatically, and then we want to talk a little bit of finance and budget. We want to talk a little bit about special ed restructure, but this part of the programmatic side. You know, one of the things that is so remarkable about the school is its origins and how its origin mission is an enduring mission for nearly 170 years. And, you know, in 1856, obviously a group of leaders, community leaders like yourselves came together and they had a problem. And I think it's kind of funny when you think about today's context and world. They were facing a school systems that were very impacted by politics and the pressures of politics. And they wondered what would happen is if we could create a school system devoid of that issue and what it would mean for kids. Kind of a novel idea. But they came together and they reached out to a group of philanthropists and said, hey, if anybody has $7,500, we can get this going. And they were denied. And in that moment, they didn't walk away from a good idea. They found another way. And in 1856, NFA became a school. And it started with this founding vision from the Reverend Gulliver saying, can we return to our hamlets and homes the priceless freight of youthful minds? And I think about what that means. We think about children, that priceless freight. You know, the single most important thing in a parent's life is their child, and we get the honor of educating them. Enriched by learning, developed by a liberal culture, refined by study of all this beautiful nature art, prepared for highest usefulness and purest happiness. And that was a vision of 170 years ago of what schools should be. Schools should be places where kids create. Schools should be places where kids find themselves. Schools should be places where kids are happy. And schools should be places where we return them to their homes, to their parents who are counting on us. And I am just really proud to talk tonight about the school that is committed to that vision and mission of what it is. So, you know, we talk a lot about who we are, who is NFA, and we want to use these lines. We are NFA, and you are NFA as the public designated high school for Norwich. We are your high school. You know, we're a school where we talk about words like bold decisions and responsible stewardship. These are value words of our responsibility to you as a community and our responsibility to the kids we serve. But tonight I want to frame this around these two words, independence is tradition, but boundless opportunity and paving the way to the future. And tonight I'm going to try to enter this from the lens of a parent, from the lens of a student, about these ideas of boundless opportunity and how we are paving the way with our kids towards the future. So, you know, this is a quick video. I want to show this. This really is a picture in 1,000 words. And if Joe can cue it up, hopefully it won't be the YouTube ad here, but if it is, I'm not endorsing the product. Just suffer through it.
If you're thinking about getting great internet at a great price, good thinking.
Yeah, maybe it works.
NFA has a deal for you.
Yeah.
Science, don't fail me now. If you can't get it, Joe, it's okay.
We did just it already. No.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate that. So I love that video. I think it really showcases kind of the three elements of NFA that we're going to talk about: the academic life, the student life, and of course the extracurricular life and sports and activities. But, you know, I think boundless opportunity for us starts with kids. It starts with the kids that are going to walk out of this school at some point in June, and that date keeps moving on us, unfortunately. We've had rain closings, snow closings, ice closing. We're waiting for the pestilence closing. That hasn't happened yet, but you know, and these kids will come to us. And, you know, Norwich is a huge, huge part of our school. We have just over 2,100 students at our school. Almost 1,300 of those students are kids that come from here and come from your school. Of our special needs students, we have 252 students. About 224 of those students come from Norwich as well. And when we talk about our ML population, which is obviously a really growing population for us, again, this is the connection between the community of Norwich. This is a unique, special connection, appropriately, that it's a part of our name and who we are. You know, when you look at our school, we talk about boundless opportunity. We're talking about a school that is as diverse a place and integrated a place as you could possibly find in our country. And of all the power that we talk about that happens in inclusivity and in integration, you can find that at NFA in a place where difference is something that is valued. Difference is something that's accepted. Difference is something that is prioritized in our school, and we're really proud of. We talk about boundless opportunity. We talk about our campus. You know, certainly you're familiar with our campus and the beauty of our campus. You know, NFA is a private school. It's a private school that serves public school students. It's unlike any other school in the state of Connecticut in terms of facilities. We talk about 2 campuses on 17 acres of land with, you know, over 400,000 square feet of just amazing historic buildings that each have their own stories and narration. These are opportunities that our kids get to experience going in there. I know this well. This summer when I received the position, I have 7 children at home. I have 2 high school age children, and my high school age students, my high school children went to the same school. Their mother went to school. We live in the town where my wife grew up. My wife went to that school. Her parents went to that school. That was part of their family history. But I spent the summer here on this campus, and my kids obviously came down because their dad was at work a lot. And as they started to walk around this place, my kids understood the opportunity of this campus to be something different. I'm really proud. My kids are with me at school right now and loving this opportunity to be a part of this environment here. You know, we have a state-of-the-art athletic complex and workout facilities that are overused by our students and your students in there. We have robust art and performing spaces. You saw a little bit of the shots from the Slater Auditorium, the ensemble room, the excessive amount of opportunities we have for music, art, dance, theater, et cetera. And then, of course, Slater Museum is another really important place and another, you know, when I walk in that place today, I give a tour of that place today, and the awe I feel of thinking that high school kids are experiencing this is unlike anything else. This is not a standard high school. This is a special school. And, you know, I'm trying to emphasize this for you because you as the community of Norwich, as Norwich board members, you're making an investment in NFA. Every single time you pass a budget, every single time you have a conversation about your values and your priorities, you're investing in something. And you should know the investment you're making is a community investment that is unparalleled, certainly in the state of Connecticut, and I would argue across the country as well in terms of what's being received. Our museum, this is kind of a cool fact, there's over 5 continents of art across the globe. There's 10,000 items there. And, you know, in this museum, it's really cool when you walk in here and you'll find a drawing class. Bob Davis's drawing class will be in there. And they have an activity, put a Sharpie marker on an easel, and they draw these statues without picking their pen off, and you watch what's happening. And then you listen to Dane Rue, and he's our museum director, and he'll talk to the kids about this idea of each of these ancient civilizations was trying to send an important message to kids about values and about what that society stood for. And when we look at that, we say, well, what does our society stand for? You know, and what are those values and commitments that we're trying to make to tell our kids of what was important to us? And I would say it's pretty clear for the Norwich Board of Ed, this is an investment you've made in a community school and in a private school and an independent school for a very long time that I believe has shaped this entire community and will continue to move into the future. When we talk about boundless opportunities, why are we doing that? We're trying to pave the way to the future. Of course, that starts with academic programming. At NFA, your students have an opportunity to have over 250 course offerings that give all type of experiences for students to learn and grow. The most amazing thing about NFA is this adhesion to this value of a rich curriculum. And you can go from a robotics class, such as the young man's doing right there, to a class that's working on pottery, to a class in digital photography, to a marine science class, all within a 5-minute walk. We want our kids to find their passion. We want them to find their path. And then we believe as they find that path, we engage them fully. You know, and how do kids do? You know, we talk about this. There's a huge end at this school for high academic students. There's an incredible effort here around pipeline programs. There's a lot of conversation that if kids want to learn a trade, they need to go to trade school. That's actually not correct. We have an incredible pipeline trades program at our school. Works through we have 4 pipelines. One of them is called the YMPI program that places students directly at electric boat coming out of our school, an EMT program, a CNA program. We also have a medical interpreter program. So we're really capitalizing on the strengths of our ML students to do that. And you're wondering, how are Norwich kids doing? And this is a pretty cool stat we found here. We sent you guys this early in a performance report. Over 500 of your students are enrolled in honors or above courses. This tells you that your kids have been well prepared for the next academic journey and are thriving in NFA on a daily basis. Outside of school, what do we remember about school? Of course, we're there for the way to the future is our learning. But part of why we love school, part of why we get our kids to love school is we give them a bigger day. We give them a bigger moment. We give them somewhere where they can have fun and experience themselves. That's a good thing. For us, we have over 75 clubs and sports. Here's a neat fact for Norwich kids. Over in 2023, out of the 4 classes you have there, from freshman through senior, over 876 opportunities were enjoyed by your kids. Now, if I play fencing, basketball, and golf, that would count as 3 for me. But what that tells you is your kids are highly involved in exactly what you want them to be involved in. What do we know about kids who get involved? They do well. And so our vision and dream is that every one of our kids are involved in these type of opportunities, because in that they find a positive peer group, they find a positive adult in their life, and they find something they can be good at. And that's what NFA is about. You know, we tell our kids as they're coming here, we say, hey, we have a club for everyone. And if we don't have a club for everyone, then tell us what club we don't have, and let's create that now. And there is that spirit of creativity at NFA that continues to move forward. It's kind of cool program, fencing. I'd never heard of fencing, I think, until I got to NFA. Turns out we have a really good fencing program. I think we won 3rd in the States this year in fencing. And it's pretty neat when I sit and talk to these kids and they tell me, oh, I used the foil or the saber was my thing. I'm like, wow, I've never heard of such a thing, but amazing to hear these kids talk about it. You know, and I think just what is NFA about? It's about the paving the way of student life. You know, you think about who our kids are and what they are, and these moments of opportunities to experience art, science, opportunities to connect to people who are different from you, opportunities to experience different cultures. We have a large international population in our school, a population that's really coming back post-COVID. We're pushing almost 50 international students coming up for the coming school year. That's a really good sign for us. Pre-COVID, it was about 55 to 57 students. So that's a very good sign. We have an incredible unified program of inclusivity. We just had a really amazing unified basketball tournament where kids from all over the state came. The picture in the upper right-hand corner is an example of that happened last week. And another neat story here is about students finding success. Chris Amy is a Norwich student. You might remember him. I think he went here. He is right now the #2 shot putter in the state of Connecticut, and I believe #2 in New England as well. There's a kid in East Lyme, him and they're going back and forth. Kind of funny story. He threw 68 feet is a state record. He came in this year throwing 52 feet. He's increased it to 60 feet. He's broken every school record we have. It's created a really unique problem. Our shot put facility, now we have to dig it out and extend it because he's throwing the shot put over the facility now. And really proud of Chris and proud of what Chris has been able to accomplish and who he's been at NFA. You know, kind of coming to the end of the journey here, you know, and this is something I think we don't talk enough about for our parents. One of the other really unique things about NFA is the opportunity, financial opportunity for students moving out based on the generosity of the community over many, many years. We're able through our NFA Foundation to deliver almost $700,000, over $700,000 of scholarship to students a year. That's a staggering number. If any of you have put kids through school, you realize you know, $1,000 scholarship here, $2,000 here. This is private scholarship money going to NFA kids. So kind of neat for Norwich again, of that total, this year, last year, 2023, 121 Norwich students totaled over 232 scholarships for almost $375,000 of money. That's got cold, hard cash in their pockets that is supporting their vision. And, you know, I think about this, it's like, certainly when we think about the cost of college and what it means for families, this is that seed. This is that, hey, college is possible for you. We don't have to worry about what your family situation is. We're going to figure out a way to get there. And again, we're not a group that believes that every student should go to a four-year college. I think that's been proven very clearly. That's a flawed mentality. Every student should have a plan and a path. And you can kind of see where your kids are going right now of your 370 Norwich seniors from last year. And it's a smattering of kids from four-year schools to trade schools to college to military. But the neat number there is the number in the bottom right-hand corner. Every single one of your kids, we have a plan for your kids. And ultimately making an investment in school, that's what you want to see. You want to know your kids have a plan and are headed somewhere and they're supported on their journey. So another neat slide, you know, what happens next, our next steps. These are just a snapshot of some of the schools your kids went to last year. There were too many schools. I think there were 123 schools, different schools that your kids went to. Obviously, your dominant numbers, I think we had 56 students at UConn last year, which is a huge deal to get into the University of Connecticut right now. But if you start looking around there, Penn State, Amherst, NYU, EB, a large number of students were able to place directly at EB, making 55 grand as a welder their first year working. Neat to see that NFA is part of that next step paved to the future. And that's what Norwich kids are doing. And we're really proud of them and appreciative of them and excited to continue that journey together. So I'm going to skip this video, although, man, it hurts to skip it because it's so good. This is our kids talking a little bit. I'll send it to Susan. You guys can look at it on your own, but I'm just trying to move forward. But it's a really neat video about kids talking about this experience instead of me. And really want to just close out this part of the presentation before I dive into the finance piece with Rich of that, you know, we want Norwich kids to know that they are Wildcats. We want Norwich families to know they are Wildcat families. And we want you to know as board members, you are Wildcats as well. This is your school. And you should be extremely proud of this school. There is no question that the community of Norwich and the ability to work together with the Board of Education and the Norwich Free Academy is something that's a unique, special experience. And really looking forward to continue to have your kids, continue to find pathways to reach your kids and continue to engage them there. So I'm happy to take questions, and then I can dive into the finance part that's a little less inspiring, but try to make it equally as interesting.
Any questions for Dr. Quinn?
Jump to the next thing.
Let's dive into the.
All right, let's dive into the next thing. So with that said, want to talk a little bit about, Susan asked me to come speak a little bit about our special ed restructure and the impact on the budget overall. And I know you're in the middle of the budget process. In your folder, there's a couple things. One, there's a letter I believe you've already seen. This is a letter that we sent to Susan as a cover for our budget that explains essentially what our budget was as a whole, but then really dives into how special ed plays into that budget. And there's been a lot of work done on special ed. And the second document is really the explanation of everything I'm going to tell you right now. It explains all the programs, explains why the programs are the way they are, and explains what the programs do. And, you know, I think of any budget, I'm sure and I haven't seen it in your budget, but I'm sure your special ed budget is anywhere between 15 to 20% of your budget. It's a massive investment for a community. It's an expensive process in educating students, and something that I obviously know all boards of education take a careful, close look at. It's also an incredibly high stakes part of education. We have a very serious stewardship and responsibility to educate students who have identified a special need, and it's a privilege to do that. And at NFA, our kids who come to us, those 224 kids from Norwich, those are really important parts of our community. And those kids are a part of our community. They're fully integrated in our community. And I believe I'm with those kids a lot, are having an amazing experience at NFA. So I think a few things. One, this year, we really made a concerted effort to do a restructure of our special education program based on concerns that were brought to us from partner districts including Norwich Public Schools. And there were 3 issues essentially that got raised. One, the access and management conversation of how do we manage specifically employees. This year, working with Bob, we have a different arrangement with Norwich where previously your paras worked in our schools, and we worked at an MOU with NPS to have the schools employed by Norwich Free Academy, and in turn were billed back to NFA and billed back to NPS. That same concept now is spread. We will be implementing that next year for all the partner districts because it makes a lot of sense. The second piece is just trying to address the cost concerns around the program. Special education is an expensive business, just like healthcare is an expensive business. There are a lot of resources to get deployed in special education, but making sure that your programs, tuition rates are cost comparative across the region is something that we wanted to take on and take a look at. And obviously the third piece is really the most important, is how do we improve programming for kids? So as a concept around this restructure, the other piece here that we really took a look at was, you were probably familiar with our Compass credit recovery program. It's been called a lot of different things over the years. For the past few years, it was revamped from the Sachem program to be a Compass credit recovery program. And it was an additional tuition charge to the district to help students who are undercredited graduate. Part of this restructure takes that charge away from the district, so there's no additional bill back to Norwich Public Schools, and so we can move students to where they need, much like we'd move students to an AP program, we would also move them to a credit recovery or an alternative program based on the student need without a financial barrier for that. So that was another part of this. So kind of looking at how this plays out, historically at NFA, there were six separate special ed programs. They were very, if you're familiar with NFA, they were called ABLE, ILSs, ACEs, PACE, and the Sachem program. These programs each had a specific disability that they targeted, but were somewhat limited in terms of the least restrictive environment where they work towards kids. And I think as education continues to evolve, we wanted to look what was best practice, and we wanted to find a better way of managing that type of need. Why that's a challenge if you have a narrow range of disability that you're targeting is mid-year a student qualifies for a different band or needs a different band of support. Now you're moving that student to a new program and coming back to NPS and saying, financially, this is a $20,000 change to your student. You guys have not budgeted this. You've set your annual appropriation one time. You're unable to accommodate that. And that becomes an issue that ultimately the finance office has to close and figure out. Broadening the band allows us to keep the student within the band and serve the student's needs while maintaining the cost structure. So that's some of the rationale behind that. The 4 programs that we're building and rolling out for next year, these are very similar programs you'll see in most school districts across the country. I certainly believe they're the same programs you see here at NPS. First one is the most intensive program. It's called Functional Life Skills. These are students with very significant intellectual disabilities, autism, multiple disabilities, who are target focused there is functional living. And this is about developing basic skills, competencies, and foundational daily living independent skills. These are students that might be confined to wheelchairs. These are students that might have very significant difficulty in communication. These are students who might have very significant physical impediments that they make accessing learning in one way difficult. These are students that we want to, as much as possible, integrate across our campus, and we do. Second program is called the Thrive program. The Thrive program is, I think, the widest span of program. It focuses on students with social, emotional, behavioral challenges, of which we've seen more and more, just like you have coming out of COVID. This has been one of the phenomena of COVID. But certainly, I think something in our world we've seen more and more of this is about impulse control, self-regulation, and positive social relations. And the second piece is obviously the autism spectrum disorders. This program has essentially 2 tracks. One is more structured and one is more integrated. For students who can't function in a less structured environment, they're going to spend more time in the structured track. But our goal is always, hey, listen, he can do a science class with non-disabled peers. The student's going to be in the science class, and we're going to figure out where they are. The whole goal is to integrate them into the regular ed setting. Third program, very simple program, is Resource. Resource is a case managed program, just like you have in our school. What's different about this for us this year is last year we had 2 resource rates. We had an NFA rate and we had a Compass rate. Now we have one rate that's aligned to market prices. The fourth program, I think, is the exciting program. This is the new program. We're calling it the Atlas program. We first designed this. We called it the Pathways program. Susan's probably looking at me like, that's a new one. But the name changed. There's a rationale for that. I can't remember the rationale if I'm sitting here saying this to you right now. But Atlas became where it was. I kind of like it because I see like this Greek god Atlas. But anyway, I don't think that's why it was called Atlas. This is an idea of supporting students in alternative placement who are really having behavioral and emotional challenges. This is a very small program. This is a max enroll of 13 students. I believe our special ed teams have been working together. I think we have about 7 students from Norwich right now that are working towards that. And I think this is hopefully, I'm really hoping, going to be a help to NPS because instead of some of the expensive outplacements you guys are facing right now, this is a place to bring these students back in district at a significantly reduced cost to what you're paying in terms of your outplacement for these kind of kids. So it's a little quick overview of what SPED looks like. In terms of tuition charges, what you see, this is a really interesting nuance. I think what's important for you to look at, if you look at this chart, this is the total SPED tuition of what these programs costed, what these programs will cost next year. This has been compared across the region from Learn to Edelbrook to the Joshua Center to the Learning Clinic, and worked a market comparison price. What's important to see about this, and this might be more details than you want, is we break these apart into two separate categories. One is the general tuition. This is what NPS pays for a general tuition student. This is the SPED program tuition which comes together. Why it's important to bifurcate it is when we put an annual increase, the annual increase is applied to the general tuition versus the total SPED tuition. This is a change. In the past, for example, we put a 3.75 tuition increase that you saw. The 3.75 would have gone on the $74,000 number. This year, the tuition increase went on the $14,000 number. Why that's important, beyond the fact that it saves NPS money, is it allows us to control escalation in the price. When you put the 3.25 or the 7 that was last year on the total SPED tuition, these prices escalate quickly and no longer become market competitive. So this is a way of somewhat restraining growth and still maintaining, obviously, the cost increase that happens on a COLA type basis year to year. The other important thing to see here is general paraprofessional support is included with all these programs. Of course, certain students will still need a one-to-one para. Right now, your one-to-one para, you're billing the full freight of the employee plus the medical benefits. In the new restructure, a one-to-one para will be a $25,000 upcharge on top of your tuition. So that's probably over half the cost of what you're paying right now. So another savings for you. We believe that through a program like this that has general ed para support, you're going to need less one-to-one paras. And we can pool the one-to-one pairs with the other partner district towns. So we believe there's a savings there as well overall. In addition, and Rich can talk about this briefly, we've negotiated, working with Susan and the team, Medicaid billing reimbursement, as well as a new program for homebound and expelled students that takes the homebound tutoring costs away from NPS that have always been there. So I'm going to talk about that.
Sure, just for a second. We've been working very closely, Jess Vacatura, with your team. We are beginning Medicaid claiming dating back to January of this year. We're really excited about it. It's something that I know NPS has desired from NFA for a long time. We believe we're right on the cusp there. Very excited about it.
And you know that, so Medicaid billing essentially works as it's a reimbursement program that you will apply for. We submit the hours of the services to deliver the students at NPS for services, just social worker, a psychologist, speech and language, et cetera, and you bill back those hours through Medicaid billing. I don't know what that's worth for you. I can tell you from the district where I served, which obviously was ESAR, if it was larger than you guys, we would go up to as much as $300,000 a year in a given year of billing back. We think there's significant value for you. On homebound tutoring and expulsion tutoring, NPS is paying probably around $26,000 a year to pay for tutors for students who are homebound. We've now taken those students, we've placed them in our Wildcat Learning Academy, which is a virtual academy. There's no charge to NPS, so there's another savings on the backside of that. So those things are possible through cooperation and coordination. Those are things that we can do, and through working together can find those efficiencies. So the last slide here, I promise, is just how this all plays together and works into the budget. This is a lot to kind of process here, but just kind of going through this quickly. Your general tuition here last year, fiscal year 24, was just over $17 million. For fiscal year 25, it's $19.1 million. The reason why you see the escalation is essentially you've taken back all the students. We've closed the Compass program, and no longer, this will make more sense in a second, those 45 students, really 51, because there were 6 special ed kids, those are now in your general tuition plus your 3.75% increase. So just with your kids, you're looking at a 3.75% increase on there. On the special ed side, you're looking at an increase of about $1.3 million. This is an increase of special ed kids, but the 3.75 applies to the special ed tuition. Your savings come back where your Compass tuition, you were just over $1 million in Compass. Those 45 students I previously mentioned moved up into your general tuition. So you pick up a very significant savings with that. And you also see that on your 6 special ed kids who were in the Compass program of about just over $180,000 coming back. The third savings you see essentially is you have about $540,000 of paraprofessional costs. That cost moves away because now you're picking up your general para support. Of course, this is offset by what you need for one-to-ones. You have 8 Norwich paras right now. I would and again, I'm not the special ed expert, but that number would be significantly reduced next year when you look at what are necessary for one-to-ones. Related service costs come straight across. That's another piece that NFA will be managing and taking care of, which now you take care of. So your total, when you go positives versus negatives, is about $1.3 million, which I look at NPS and say, like, it's incredible. It's a significant savings. A restructure provides a significant savings because just your general tuition should have gone up about $1.8 million. And because of the restructure we're able to do working with Susan, essentially you're looking at a cost increase less than just what your general tuition. So a little bit of this is the balancing of course, costs move up with the 3.75% increase and costs move down because we closed the Compass program, washing out the Compass tuition, the Compass special ed, and the paraeducators. So an awful lot there. You got something on that?
No, I was gonna say the Compass program's not gone though. It's just from the budget standpoint.
It's just gone from the budgetary standpoint. The Compass program is still there. There's just not a fiscal charge to it. So a lot of information here. Really happy to answer questions, and I know we went longer than I thought, but I do really appreciate the time. So, any questions?
So essentially, that restructuring has saved us overall about $450,000.
That's correct.
That's right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Anyone have any questions? All right.
Thank you all very much. And if you ever interested, always interested in work with Susan through this, we'd love to host you on campus. Love to give you a tour. It's if you haven't been on campus when our kids are there, really would encourage you to take that opportunity. Seeing it with our kids, our kids moving around that place is a real treat. And if we can ever be a service on those things, we'd love to do it. But thank you all very much for the time.
Next up, we have our other designated high school, Griswold High School. This is a smaller school, so for students who want a more intimate setting and they're frightened of the large school, I know we have several of our students that just love it there. Representing Griswold High, we have Superintendent Sean McKenna, Assistant Superintendent Glenn Lavoisier, and Board Chair Mary Beth Malin. Please come up.
Thank you so much for having us. Happy Board of Education Month. And just from my perspective, this is a little interesting to me. 10 years ago, I used to be in this room quite frequently because I interned in Norwich with Abby Dolliver. So it's nice to be back and to see you all. So our presentation we have here tonight, I've encouraged Superintendent Lassard to share it with you all. It is interactive and you can dig into it when you have it on your own. It does have some video, and it also has email contacts where you can reach out to us if you have questions. So welcome to Wolverine Nation. So we believe that Griswold High School and Griswold Public Schools is a viable option for Norwich students and students in the region because we value the whole child. That includes valuing the academic potential of every single student, the social and emotional well-being, and the behavioral health. Griswold students develop a sense of belonging. They are known by the faculty and staff. The faculty and staff are mentors, and they work very closely with our students. Students at Griswold have greater opportunities to participate and play and have a significant role in extracurricular activities. That includes musics, art, sports, esports, which we're going to get into in a few minutes, student leadership organizations. Our students receive personalized support services to assist them so that they feel that they belong and they can contribute to their program and their pathway. One of the things that you're going to see on our presentation is the term Griswold Forward. We believe in investing in the future of every single student because we are a future-focused district. And that involves our partnership, not just with Norwich, with Voluntown, with Lisbon, with Sprague, with Franklin, with Preston, and with Canterbury. It is a tight-knit school community of 575 students at Griswold High School. We get to know every single student. There's a personalized education at work. That's in our mission and our vision. 50% of our students participate in athletics. 20% of our student athletes are from sending towns, so thank you very much. 50% of our students participate in the music program and 30% in the spring musical. And yes, this year, it's very true, we're gonna do Legally Blonde, the bend and snap. Our campus is right off of 395. It is easily accessible to families, to community members. We have a shared campus with Griswold Elementary School and Middle School to promote collaboration across grades. We have, and we're thrilled about this, a brand new, thank you to the taxpayers of Griswold, community multi-purpose field complex that was just installed this past summer by Field Turf, the same company that did Gillette, the same company that does colleges and universities. And we're thrilled about this advanced athletic complex that can host state competitions and regional competitions. We have a unique opportunity in Griswold because we believe in innovation and we believe in the future and we believe in our students. And we installed, by the gracious support of our Griswold Board of Education, a Nexus Advanced Technology Lab that's an esports lab. And this is a big draw for our students in the region, for our students in Griswold, and for students across Connecticut. It is one of the top 10 gaming and esports labs in the country. And you may say, well, geez, Mr. McKenna, what does esports have to do with the future? Esports is a gateway to software, engineer, and design. Esports is something that is now a major in colleges and universities. Esports is a way for students to do work in the automobile industry, in the Navy, in the military services, in engineering. So it is a serious consideration as students plan their high school program. GPS is situated along the Quinnebog River and offers natural trails on our campus. And once again, for families and community members that want to access our high school and our campus, it is right off of 395. Our Griswold Board of Education, our administrators, myself, we have adopted the Griswold Forward Plan with a mission and vision that is student-centric, that grounds our work in social and emotional learning, blended and personalized learning, and research-based instruction. Graduates of Griswold High School journey into the future as effective communicators, resilient problem solvers, critical thinkers, engaged citizens. And that is achieved with our capstone experience, where every single student has capstone courses that includes personal finance, a personalized project that they're passionate about, community service, 40 hours of community service, and every student has to do a senior showcase in front of the faculty and staff to show what they've learned as part of their graduation. So it's very personalized, it's very individualized. By the numbers, we have 575 students. We have over 65 extracurricular activities, clubs, and athletics. We have an award-winning music and arts program. 1/3 of our student body participates in the spring musical. We have this gorgeous new community multi-purpose turf and field and track. We have state-of-the-art advanced technology, Nexus Lab, and esports team, and modern learning commons. We too have a partnership with the Youth Manufacturing Pipeline, certified nursing assistant training, and multiple career pathways to explore. Our student body is benefits from having a 15-to-1 student to faculty ratio, and we have 24 dual enrollment courses, advanced placement, UConn ECE, a relationship with Southern Connecticut State University, and our community college system here in Connecticut. We have spent with Mr. Labossier's department, the Teaching, Learning, and Innovation Department, a recent expansion of courses and programs, over 20 college credit courses at Griswold High School. We have redesigned our English courses for 11 and 12, where students can actually take something that they're seriously interested in and be more invested in studying language and writing and literature. We offer computer science, game development, esports management related courses in the Advanced Technology Nexus Lab. We have exciting elective courses, including contemporary issues in sports, history of rock and roll, and more. We have various opportunities for students to engage in career preparation and certifications through the Youth Manufacturing Pipeline, CNA, and we also offer the Seal of Biliteracy. Again, we pride ourselves on being a comprehensive high school in Eastern Connecticut with advanced placement courses where students can take classes in high school to defray the cost of college. We have a partnership with UConn, early college via Southern Connecticut State University, and of course, we value our college career pathways with the community college system. Our scores, and thank you to the many students in Norwich who take these classes, are outpacing the Connecticut average and the national average on the various AP tests, and we have a sampling of metrics here for you. And once again, when you see this presentation, if you have questions, feel free to ask us. We are very proud of working with all of our students and all of our families for next steps, for going into career, for going into the military and armed services, and certainly going to college. And what we did is we captured 2019 through 2023, the different schools where our students attended. And you can see it is a random sampling, including various state colleges and universities, Ivy League institutions such as Yale and Brown, and world-renowned institutions throughout the country. Student life at Griswold, we celebrate it, just like you celebrated students here at the Board of Education meeting. Each and every month, we celebrate our students. We recognize their various talents, and we, once again, are committed to the whole child: academic, social and emotional, personalized and blended learning. That's our faculty. As I said before, our teachers and our faculty and staff bond with students, get to know their personal interests. They are mentors. They work closely with our students. They work closely with our families. The Nexus Lab was established in 2021. If you do get this presentation, there's a video about the Nexus Lab. There was a feature in the Norwich Bulletin. It is a lab that has attracted regional and national attention, and that's because of the work of our students and our faculty and staff. Students can take computer science, coding, animation, cybersecurity. We're unveiling a new course at our Board of Education on Thursday night on drone technology. We're super excited about this because our kids are super excited about this. Our music department and drama department is outstanding for the region. We would love to see you join us from April 17th to the 20th when we produce Legally Blonde. It's a musical, and it is, I have to tell you, our kids do an outstanding job. From behind the scenes to acting to a pit orchestra, the program is outstanding, and we welcome you to join us. We also have chorus, concert choir, chamber choir, men's and women's chorus, instrumental groups such as concert band, wind ensemble, and jazz. There's our wonderful, beautiful students, and we're going to get to the Norwich students in a few minutes. We believe, again, part of social and emotional learning and competency is the whole child, and we believe in athletics. We believe in sports. We believe in extracurricular, and these are the different sports that we offer through the fall, winter, and spring seasons. Our multi-purpose turf field that was established this past summer. GPS Student Services, we have redesigned many of our special education programs, including our Griswold Sewell Street Academy, Special education students are welcomed, included, and participate in a full range of activities. There are multiple opportunities for students to grow, to be supported, to succeed, and to feel accepted. Close collaboration with partner towns includes working with Norwich with your special services department. We have robust classroom support models and life skills. We have a reading and math interventionist on staff that works with our students. And we have a highly effective in-district transition and alternative school program. I'll get to the Griswold Sewell Street Academy in a few minutes. We were the beneficiaries, like Norwich, of ARP ESSER funds. The Board of Education was very serious about using these funds in strategic ways. There was an opportunity in town where our senior center moved. We were able to acquire that building, and we redesigned that building to be our new Griswold Sewell Street Academy. We're very proud about that. It's relocated closer to our campus instead of the 201 location. Again, this is highly intensified personalized learning for students that need a different experience. And we, in this program, prioritize their social and emotional well-being and development. There's Gavin Rivera from Norwich. I chose to attend Griswold because of its sports programs, which would help me to achieve more and become a better person in the future. This school, out of all schools, helps most with creating new relationships, especially with teammates. One thing I like about the school is the welcoming vibe freshmen get when arriving. We have what we call a Wolverine induction program that helps students acclimate to Griswold High School, and we take each student through that program to make sure that they feel welcomed and acclimated. There's Alana Shanette. She's from Norwich, graduating in 2027. I chose to come to Griswold High School because I'm very passionate about Griswold cheer. Our cheering, didn't they just national competition? They were at a national competition. They did an outstanding job. I participated in Griswold Youth Chair as a kid and knew it would be easy to make friends coming here. My experience has been great. Everyone is so welcoming, and the adults here are so involved in our success. Xavier, I chose Griswold High School for the sports. The coaches, the teachers, and community here are all amazing. There's so many opportunities here. He will be graduating from Griswold High School in 2027, participates in cross country and track, and he does our morning announcements. Gio is a student at Griswold Sewell Street Academy. I genuinely like the teachers here, and the people here are so nice. They have a lot of respect for one another, and we have so much fun. Emily, she participates in cross-country track and student leadership council. I love Griswold High School because of the community. We are all like a family, and that includes the teachers and the staff. I feel like we have a very good support with our school counselors and main office. There are a lot of different programs offered here. Luke Cassidy is from Voluntown. I picked Griswold High School because of the community. I have had great opportunities to grow, get involved, and make memories with great teachers, coaches, and friends. Nate, he's from Norwich. He is a student at our Griswold Sewell Street Academy. If you are struggling or having a bad day, the staff are understanding and provide resources so you can take time for yourself. They want to help you out. Paige is from Voluntown. She plays soccer and participates in chamber choir in the spring musical. I chose Griswold High School for the music program because I'm so passionate about music. I also chose it because it was smaller and I would get to know people better and have a close group of friends. I really love the friendships and the close relationships with the teachers. Jack is from Lisbon. He's our lighting director. You're going to see his work on display at Legally Blonde. I love Griswold High School because they offer many different career paths, and I love the Nexus Lab. The school is like one big family. Registration process. Griswold, we have an open house. That's September of each year. We do sending town visits. We work with Norwich. We work with all of our towns in a very customer service friendly way. Sending town families fill out the Griswold interest form. Families receive monthly email updates from Griswold High School. Registration packets have been released in mid-January. Priority registration was due March 1st, 2024. We have extended registration due April 1st, 2024. Elective courses registration, that's May 10th, 2024. Summer registration for new students starts July 1st, so the door is never closed. All Sending Town students confirm registration by August 1st. However, we will work with you if you need some more time. Summer registration ends August 16th, the first day of the 2024-2025 school year, August 27th, 2024. So I want to thank you for partnering with us. Our students are your students. If you have questions tonight, we are here to answer. If we can't answer the question, you email me, Glenn, Erin Pallone, the principal who couldn't be here, or Chris Champlin. And so we thank you, and we really appreciate that Norwich moves forward with Griswold. Thanks so much.
Anyone have any questions for Griswold?
I don't have any questions, but I'm just excited to see the new complex.
It's pretty nice, yeah.
My daughter graduated from Griswold 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
I've got one that graduated from NFA 3 years ago. But to see the complex, my daughter's cheered there forever, and it needed to.
Yeah, it was a nice facelift, yeah. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks. And Amber, did we have anyone signed up for
We
public
have,
comment?
first we have Rob Dempsley. Okay.
Could you please give your name and
All right.
address for the record, and also, I don't have my little book in front of me, but you're limited to 2 minutes.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay. So we're good to start. My name is Rob Dembski. I live at 68 White Plains Road in Norwich. And
Speak into the mic, please.
sure, everybody can hear me now. Rob Dembski, 68 White Plains Road in Norwich. And is that all that you needed for the record? Or do you need anything else?
That's it.
Okay. I'm here because myself and a number of people I've been speaking with over the last several months are of the opinion that this superintendent investigation needs an immediate resolution. I'm not saying one way or another whether the superintendent is found innocent of what's being alleged or that she actually did the things that are being said. That's up for you guys to decide with the aid of the investigator, obviously. But as I understand it, the BOE hired School Climate Consultants LLC on September 27th of last year. And then 2 months later, hired an actual investigator. And I understand they're not working together, but it would seem as though the information that was gathered by the initial LLC would be yours to submit to the investigator that you hired and essentially give them a leg up on where they needed to look, where they needed to look harder, and to expedite the process. But 4 months later, almost, there's still no resolution. I probably should have said at the beginning, I am also the chairman of the Norwich Republican Town Committee, but I don't look at this as a partisan issue. I don't think that anybody really should. I would think you'd be hard pressed to find someone who doesn't agree that we shouldn't be paying 2 superintendents, 2 assistant superintendents when this has been going on for 6 months. I know that over 60 pages of information about violations, even possible crimes have been submitted. And the taxpayers deserve answers at this point as to whether or not the information is borne out to be true by the investigator or not. And as to the notion that I've heard that she's under contract and that the city will have to buy her out if she is in fact found to have transgressed in the ways that have been alleged. My simple question to that is why? A contract requires 2 parties who agree to fulfill their respective ends of that contract. And if someone is in violation, then that's breach of contract. I don't see why there should be a buyout even on the table. Again, if she is in fact guilty of what's being alleged, but we're not investigating John Gotti here. You know, we don't need to go for the maximum. If one transgression is proven to be legitimate, then that's enough. Then that's a violation. So, you know, if one person was harassed, it's breach of contract, and we should be able to move on. I realize I'm at my time now. I am. I do just want to say very succinctly, I also am interested to hear what happens tonight with the language that's being adopted regarding the special class of students. Obviously, nobody thinks that anyone should be harassed, bullied, anything like that. My concern is that the language that I read, although I'm not a lawyer, I like to think I understand language pretty well. The language that is being proposed seems to me to offer no protection for men playing in women's sports. And I just think that's unfair to women. I don't think it's a wise policy for a number of reasons. I can come back and talk about that another time. I know I've gone over. I appreciate you allowing me to do that. And thank you all for what you do.
We have any more? Amber?
Oh, I'm sorry. Joanne Filbert, please.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Joanne Philbrook. I live at 10 Elm Avenue. Quick full disclosure, I have not attended a Board of Education meeting in about 12 to 13 years. I would be happy to expound on my reasons, but I don't think you'd like to hear them. I've been very active in Norwich politics and government for many years. I'm very outspoken, oftentimes critical. What you see is what you get. I am 81 years old. I have a daughter who graduated magna cum laude from Vassar at 35. I have a son who has a traumatic brain injury. I say these things because it just shows you that I have life experiences. So I would like to touch on three things. The investigation. It's reminding me of Derbygate and not in a good way. It's time to close the book, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to close the book. So we need a date specific. The second thing I'd like to talk to you about is, because of my age, and I've talked to Amber about this a little bit, your website is not user-friendly. It is impossible to navigate. I tried to do research in order to come here so that I sounded a little bit like I knew what I was talking about, and I couldn't. Please make it easier. So it's either that way by default or design. Either way, it's not working. The last thing that I need to talk to you about, and this is where I get frustrated, angry, and emotional, is the budget. It is unsustainable and unattainable. Norwich, as the mayor likes to tell us every now and again, that Norwich is one of the two most distressed municipalities in the state of Connecticut. Where in the name of good God or whatever do you think the taxpayers are going to come up with this amount of money? Where? We have a mass exodus as it is. Something has to give here. Education is important, yes, but quality of education is even more important. And quality of education, in my opinion, and a lot of people in my age group will say the same, quality of education is not based solely upon the amount of money that you spend. We all have budgets in our own house. I would love to have a house at the beach and a Porsche, but I can't afford that. And I don't ask the government or you to provide that for me. So we have to come. I know you have contractual agreements. I hear about it all the time from the city and everything else. If you have $10 to spend, you have that $10 and you have to put it to the highest and best use. If that means that you can't have steak for dinner every night, then, so I ask you, I implore you, fix the website so people can learn and educate, and the budget, we've got to do something. Thank you. And maybe it'll be another 12 or 15 years before I come back.
We hope to see you.
I hope to see you in 15 years up here talking. Thank you, Heather.
We have Beryl Fishbone, please.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Beryl Fishbone, 19 Bliss Place. I come with a few things for you. I came here to plant seeds in your heads, seeds for new ideas, begging for new ideas, for new plans. A budget that takes over 50% of a city's income is not sustainable, as the previous speaker said. It's not fair. And you also have to remember what it's going to do for the future. So for each of you, I have a present. Please take one and then pass the bucket down for each of you. In that plastic bag, thanks to a program from Rhode Island Job Lot and the URI Master Gardener Program, they supply the seeds. These cost absolutely nothing. Well, a little bit of gas for me to go pick them up. I want you to go to the schools that you represent. Each of you have been assigned a school. And I want you to go to that school and plant those seeds either with the kids, that's okay, with the staff, that would be fine too, and grow. Grow not just the plants, but grow with ideas, with foresight. We cannot continue to just say, this is the problem, and throw money at it. Throwing money is not a solution, and it's certainly not good for any length of time. We need you to work, develop, to create soil, to grow. And don't worry if you think, Dr. Lassard, that I forgot. I didn't. Because at one point, I promised her that I would supply the seeds for her to give to the students so that she could have enough. I have a bag of flowers. The other one is vegetables and herbs. Thank you.
Thank you for your unique perspective and
Amazing donation.
yes, and we rarely, I've never gotten gifts, so thank you very much for that. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Is there anyone else who would like to speak? And is there anyone else who would like to speak? I now declare public comment closed. Okay, we now come to report of the chairman. First off, I'd like to wish everyone happy high holy days. The month of March is the most special month for the Abrahamic religions. It's the beginning of Ramadan, Passover, and Easter. And so it's a very special month. Next, I hope you're all recovered, that it's, as you can tell, it's almost 7 o'clock and it's still light out. Daylight savings has started. Next Tuesday, March 19th, is the first day of spring. I've already seen crocus and daffodils blooming in my yard. So that's very unusual. I wish everyone a happy National Women's Month. This week is also National Girl Scout Week. It's their 112th birthday. As far as school activities go, tomorrow evening here at Kelly Auditorium, we have the All-City Music Festival, which starts at 6 p.m. We wish that everyone would come out and see what our students can do as far as we'll have choral and instrumental performances. And in the following week, on March 25th, Monday, is a meet and greet in this room with the Norwich Public School, all our cabinet, any board members who wish to come. So we'd like to see you here. March 27th, there's a benefit with the Harlem Wizards playing against, I believe it's the teachers, the Norwich Public Schools staff. And that's at NFA's gym starts at 7 o'clock. You can get tickets for that online, $15 for general admission. And then on Thursday, the 28th, the Norwich Transition Academy will hold an open house. That's at 30 Cray Street. That's our basically our postgraduate program for kids up to 22 years old. It helps them transition into the work world. And a new proclamation tomorrow was determined to be National Dermatologist Day. And I'd like everyone to just to remind you that the skin is your largest organ of your body. So if you have any weird moles or spots, please get that checked out. And I will have some comments a little later on, just prior to when we discuss the budget. Okay. The report, we'll proceed now to the report of the acting superintendent.
Good evening, everyone. Just a couple of things. I know we had a lot packed into this meeting, so I'm just going to talk about two things. First thing is I just want to give you a pre-K update that I received from Corey. There's 75 students that we've added since December 1st. And that's a total of 240 students in our pre-K program now. We have 62 available slots, and just to put some context around that is that last year we had a total of 233. So there was 205 at Bishop and 28 at Mahan. So you can see that we've already surpassed last year's number. So thank you, Corey, and for your staff for all the work that you've put into this since you've arrived at Norwich. The only other thing that I wanted to just make sure everybody's aware of is the new guidance. I'm sure everyone heard about the new CDC guidance for COVID. We note there is no longer a 5-day quarantine for COVID. So we're hoping to have less teachers out for days and staff members so that they don't have to quarantine for 5 days. Just wanted to make sure everybody knows that.
Yeah, so the new guidance now, I believe you have to be fever-free without medication before you can.
Everything's online for that on our website
Right,
as well.
so if you have questions, just go to the websites. Okay, the assistant superintendent is not here, so her report is in your agenda material, as is the report for the director of student services, the various reports associated with that. So now we come to the report of the business administrator. Bob?
Good evening. There's a lot of things I could talk about tonight. That stuff's in your packet, so if you have any questions related to food service facilities, technology, please ask them. I'm just gonna limit my talk to the 24-25 budget and an update on 23-24. In your packet, you have about a 65-page document, which is a summary of the 4 Board of Ed finance subcommittees that we had working on the budget. We started back in February 1st. We had a series of 4 meetings. Each one was about 2 hours. The whole board are members of the subcommittee. And in tonight's audience, we have the mayors, Alderman Gould and Joe DeLucia. They participated, so it's been an active process. So since most of you have been involved intimately in this, I'm not going to go over 65 slides so you can breathe a sigh of relief. But I am going to spend some time on some of the important issues that are in the budget and some of the risk items and some of the reasons why the number is so high. Right now, the number that's before you tonight is $100,084,846, and it represents an 11.9% increase, and we all know that is a very big number. There's some risk factors in that budget that can make it change either up or down. Last year's legislative body put a cap on what magnet schools could charge sending towns of 58% of the current year's tuition rate. So that's what's in the budget right now. When Governor Lamont presented his budget, he proposed eliminating that and reallocating the $150 million from K through 12 education and moving it to daycare and early childcare. So that's a battle that's going to take place at the state level. Susan and myself and Jamie and Lisa have conversations with our state legislators, and I know the mayor and councilmen do, council people do as well. That's very important to Norwich, because if the governor has his way, that's going to increase this budget number by $375,000. So that's very impactful. I'm taking an optimistic approach right now and leaving the cap in there because the entire legislative body is against that. So I'm hopeful that the governor's proposal will not fly. You've heard me talk about excess cost reimbursement. That is a significant impact factor to Norwich and every other school district. And how that grant works is we're supposed to be reimbursed at 100% above what we spend once we cross the threshold of 4.5 times our net cost per pupil. The second level, if 100% is not achievable, would be 91% for our district. So that's what we built into the current year's budget. Well, the state has shortchanged us and every other district in the state, so the actual reimbursement this rate is 72.9%. If the state fully funded the grant as it's intended, we would have $800,000 more in this year's budget, and the deficit would not be as high. So that's a significant item. The budget right now reflects the 72.9% rate, not the 91% that is in the legislative body that it's supposed to be. So between now and when the final budget is adopted, we're going to have to come to a meeting of the minds and say, do we have faith in the government that they will fund it at 91%? And if so, we can reduce the budget by $531,000. But it's been 2 years in a row that the reimbursement rate has been that low. So things like this will become known after, or we'll have a better feel for what might be known after May 11th when the legislative session ends. What's also will be very impactful to Norwich is the ECS Alliant grant increase. Right now, that is scheduled to go up by $3,788,479. That's was enacted in last year's legislative session, and this year's proposed increase, which the governor did keep intact, so we were very pleased at that, has that amount increasing by $501,000 compared to last year's proposed increase. So right now, the big unknown is, will it remain? Susan and I had conversations with Senator Austin yesterday and Darrell Wilson, and they're optimistic that that will not change. So we're counting on that money to be in. Now, that increase in the ECS grant represents 4.3% of this year's budget. So Susan, Lisa, and Jamie are working with the state, and we're working within our own district to find how we can actually spend that money. So that'll be part of the budget process as we go forward. Right now, health insurance is in the budget at a 10% increase. Our latest update from our broker is it's trended upward at 14%. So when we started the budget process, it was at 14, it dropped to 12, it dropped to 10, now it's back up to 14. So to put that in perspective, our health insurance cost is, in round numbers this year, $5 million. So if it changes, every 1% is $50,000. So that health insurance number that's in the budget could actually go up. Workers' comp, the city is exploring going to a premium-based plan as opposed to being self-insured. The Board of Ed's share of workers' comp is $500,000, so that number could possibly go down, but we won't know that probably till April, May. September 2024, the legislation that was postponed by a year, and I'll just refer to it as the menstrual product implementation, begins. So I have a number of $50,000 in the budget for that. I don't know if that's enough. It's simply an estimate of $5,000 a month for 10 months. Those in the audience who don't know what that is, schools will be required to provide those products in every bathroom in the schools from 3rd grade up, and at least one boys' bathroom. So we don't know what the cost of that will be. This year, ESSER 3 funding evaporates. It goes away at the end of, we will have fully expended that grant by the end of June. That grant funds our SRO program and staff. So we're gonna have to figure out, should the SRO program continue? And if so, will that be funded through the Board of Ed budget or through the Alliance grant? So the legislative session ends on May 11th. So there's a lot of impactful things within that body that need to be decided that will be impactful. So we really are not in a position to make best guess or intelligent decisions on some of these items until May 11th happens. Fortunately, the city doesn't have to adopt the budget, I think, until the second Monday in June. So that's beneficial to us in terms of actually coming together with what the right number should be. Other towns have ordinances or charters where they have to decide a budget by the first Monday in May. So they're at a disadvantage with that. I do want to talk a little bit about one of the items that really is driving the increase, and that's special education costs. You heard the representatives from NFA represent that. And I'm speaking purely from a financial standpoint. In no way am I intending to diminish the value of our students who are enrolled in special ed programs. They're a vital part of our student community. But I just wanted to give you some perspective on it, because you hear me talk about this all the time. March 1st was the date we updated our excess cost reimbursement application with the state. So the numbers I'm going to share with you are real numbers. It's not a budget. It's not what it could be. In the March 1st filing, for all of the tuition costs and transportation and special services related to 125 students out of more than 5,000 students, the The cost was $13,721,358. Now, that does not take into effect the reimbursement that we get for the grant, but in gross numbers, that represents over 15% of our current budget. So it's a very impactful financial obligation that the community and the district has. And by law, we have to educate and pay for those costs. And these are only the outplacements. This isn't the money we spend within the district for social workers and special education teachers and programs and all the wonderful programs that we have in district to help keep this number lower. And the last number I want to share with you related to these actual filings, the list of students who went in there, the lowest cost program was $68,000 and the highest was $244,000 for a single placement. If I looked at the top 5 placements, the cost was over $1 million for 5 students, and that represents 1.2% of our budget. And our 10 highest placements were just under $2 million. And I just wanted to share that with you so people can get a perspective when you've heard me use the term, and I don't like to use it, I call it financial roulette for communities. Because when you do a budget now, we have no idea if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 students might move in who have high dollar cost needs, nor do we know if they might move out of district. We're a larger district, so the number tends to be kind of static and just the law of numbers, move in and move out. But this number is very devastating to small towns like the town I live in, Bowentown or Preston, because if you have 1 or 2 students come in who are $250,000, it really wreaks havoc. So we've had numerous conversations at the state level, and our legislators are fully aware of this problem. And I feel comfortable that our representatives are doing what they can to deal with this problem. But that's the 2 biggest areas that are affecting our budget, both this year and next year, is the level of reimbursement, the state meeting their obligations, and the continued escalation of the costs. So that's what I wanted to share with you tonight related to the 24-25 budget. The detail that the NFA representative spoke about with regard to the restructuring of their special ed program is all contained in that 65-page document, and the numbers were vetted, so we were comfortable with their financial presentation. As a district, we wanted to make sure that the restructuring of their program didn't take the before and then the new program result in exorbitant increases for our students or for the city, and we're comfortable that it did not. So if you have any questions related to the 24-25 budget, I'd be glad to take them.
So really, Bob, you're projecting our expenses, but we don't really know what our income side is until the legislature really acts.
That's correct, and that's this, and our city council people know that they deal with that every year.
So,
and what's different this year, this is the second year of the biennium budget, so there's really no new big revenue sources coming in to the budget. It's more of reallocating what's there and making minor adjustments.
and then I think the next big question is the increase of alliance funds is a significant bump.
It is.
However, if you could just explain to the public how that money is, I mean, we don't have full allocation of those funds.
Yeah, I'll need some assistance from Susan with that, but the Alliance grant was created, I don't say many years ago, but several years ago to help districts who were behind academically to find ways to improve student performance. Over time, the grant has increased, and if you follow public education, you'll recall that the ECS formula has long been a source of discussion and contention. When will it be fully funded, so on and so forth. So in recent years, the legislative body has set a timeline to fully fund districts. And in their original timeline, the revenue that would come to the city and public school system by way of the piece that goes to the city and the piece that comes to the school district was going to get up to about $48 million, and it was going to be phased in by 2028. When the pandemic hit and districts received a lot of ESSER money, had to come up with new programs to address the needs of students and the whole educational system. New programs began and staff were hired. And the state was in a good position financially. So last year, what the state did was they hastened up the fully funding of the formula. That's why we'd be getting this $3.8 million now instead of making us wait, getting $1 million each year for the next 3, 4, or 5 years. So we get to the fully funded level a lot sooner. There's been a flaw in the ECS formula though, because I think the mayor or Joe or Stacy can correct me, but I don't think the city's portion of ECS has changed in 11 years. It's been stuck on $32 million. So every time there'd be this bump in the Alliance ECS grant, it would funnel to the district through the Alliance grant. The Alliance grant has parameters with how you can spend the money. So it creates this dilemma for cities and boards of education where if you're getting a $2 million increase in Alliance, and we've already created new programs, say for $8 million to enhance learning and improve math and English or whatever the deficiencies were. Well, now you have this new $2 million, but the way the grant is written, you can't supplant educational expenses and you have to come up with new programs. So I just couldn't sit down and say, I'm going to move. If the budget request last year was 7%, say, and Alliance went up 3%, we can't take 3% from the 7% and have the city say you get 4% and use 3% for the Alliance because we had rules attached to it. So we've had numerous conversations with our legislative leaders and they've been telling us you'll be able to move the money around and use it for ESSER people who are in the grant and for Board of Ed funds, and that's an ongoing battle that we have to get clarified with the state. So that's the dilemma that we're in. And even though we're getting a 4.3% increase as it relates to the overall budget, it's $3.8 million. Today, we just can't sit down and say, well, of that 11.9%, just knock it down to 7% because you can use 4 plus for regular Board of Ed. So that's a battle we're fighting with our legislators, and we're enlisting the help of the city side and our academic side to get to that point where it makes sense for the whole community. I hope that helps.
Yeah, that was a very good explanation, Bob.
Excuse me. Now, I know that we have to follow certain parameters for how the Alliance grant is spent. But can that be used for SROs?
Yes, I believe it can be.
All right. I thought
And that's
so.
something Susan's been working with on the state.
Thank you.
Okay, I can give you a brief update on the current year.
Okay.
So as you know, back in December, we were projecting the deficit at year end. That's when we first learned of the state shortfall at 100% funding of the excess grant of over $800,000. The last legislative session, the state also required that districts fund the student's education who turns 22 to the end of the school year as opposed to their birthday. We had 6 students that fell into that boat. So we had to pick up $450,000 to educate those students. That was not planned on in the budget. That was the result of an unfunded state mandate. So those 2 items alone caused a $1.2 million problem. So where we stand right now, in your packet, I looked at all the salaries. So that includes certified salaries, non-certified, other salaries, which are stipends and positions for doctorates and things like that. Our substitute line item for certified, non-certified, and overtime. Right now, we're projecting to be about $250,000 over budget. If you go inside the numbers, like ESPN says, gets inside the numbers and look at things, we're gonna be almost $1.2 million under budget on certified staff. Now, that's not because we budgeted too many people, it's because of the difficulty in finding qualified staff personnel. If you look at the line that would offset that on the substitute line for certified staff, we're gonna be $1 million over budget. So those two almost cancel each other out. We have a new phenomenon that started 2 or 3 years ago because of teacher shortages. We have teachers moving into the area or coming to work for Norwich Public Schools who do not reside in Connecticut, so they didn't have their Connecticut certification. The certification department at the Department of Education is behind, takes a long time because this isn't a phenomenon strictly to Norwich, it's statewide. So what happens is, say Susan has a 3rd grade teacher vacancy at Huntington, so we find a teacher from Massachusetts who moved here, or Oklahoma. We want them to be our forever teacher at Huntington in the 3rd grade. They don't have certification in Connecticut, so we hire them as a substitute while they wait for certification. So it might take 3 weeks, it could take 6 months, depending on paperwork and so on and so forth. So that's why we're showing the under budget of 1.2 million on the certified side, but that's offset by being $1 million over on the substitute line item. So from my perspective, that causes me a budget dilemma, because what should I budget for substitutes next year? So for the people in the audience, we've kept the substitute line item basically equal to this year's budget. This year's budget was $912,000, it's in at $1 million. And if we run into this problem again, it's hope that the shortages or savings on the certified line will be offset by the overages on the substitute line. And you'll find that that's also true on the non-certified staff. We're going to be collectively, that budget is 8.7 million. We're going to be $267,000 under budget. But on the substitute non-certified line item, we're going to be $220,000 over budget. So our human resource department, our administrators, they spend a great deal of time recruiting, hiring people. Environment has changed in education. Usually if you were looking to forecast salaries by the middle of September, your certified staff was known. It was easy. I could tell you in September 15th what the certified payroll would be at the end of the year, because people didn't leave in the middle of the school. The only time a certified staff member left in the middle of the year was if they had the misfortune of being ill or they moved. That's not the way it is anymore. We have resignations, retirements, people coming and going, and it's not unique to Norwich. So I'm hopeful that at some point before I end working, I'll be able to forecast that and budget it at a normal way. This is the first year we've budgeted overtime as a separate item. It's mostly for custodians, winter snow removal, so we put a budget of $100,000. It could be a little higher, but it won't be much different than that. So that's the overall where we stand on salaries. We're doing a good job managing the salary payroll. If someone leaves, every vacancy is looked at. If it's a non-union business office position, they're not filled now. So the district also did go into a budget freeze in December to try and mitigate the year-end deficit that would be at. So the next few items, and then I'll be quiet. Net tuitions. Tuitions are the biggest piece of our budget now. Years ago, it used to be salaries and fringe benefits. Now it's tuitions. And that's something the district cannot control. NFA sets their price, Griswold sets their price. The magnet schools have tuition rates set by the state. So if a student goes there, we pay the bill. And those tuitions, which consist of the $13 million I had in the outplacements, everything else is either a magnet school or a high school tuition. The budget this year was a little over $35 million. We're going to come in $1.7 million over budget. And that's net of the reimbursement from the excess cost grant. We're being shortchanged on that. That includes the impact of educating students to age 22. When we have to make budget cuts end up being on the backs of K through 8. Because if the district has to cut a budget, we can't cut that tuition line item because as a student, every dollar has a student's name attached to it, and we will pay that bill. Another item related to special education that has been increasing exponentially, especially since the pandemic, has been the need for contracted outside services. These include psychiatric evaluation, counseling services, OT, PT, speech, audiology, and the list goes on. This year's budget is $1.9 million. We're actually going to spend $2.8 million, so we're going to be almost at least $900,000 over budget. I looked at this year's spending and compared it to actual spending of 2 years ago, and it's gone up 72%. So those are dictated by student needs and IEPs, and the district does everything it can to try and bring services in-house. We had the misfortune a year ago of having the teacher for the hearing impaired either retire or move out of the town. So that short 6-month window when we had to use an outside service to provide our students who needed audiology services, I think the bill was $200,000. And teachers don't earn $200,000. We've been successful at recruiting and having that teacher back in place now. So those are the types of services that Susan and Jamie and Lisa are actively trying to bring in-house. It will become easier when we have new schools, because right now we have no space, and that becomes problematic. Software budget is going to be $94,000 over budget. We had to absorb some software that was critical to the district that had been grant funded and the grants expired. So we moved that into the budget. 2 other items, heat. We had favorable pricing this year for natural gas. Natural gas price went up, changes in November, and we used Norwich Public Utilities. So we had some pleasant news this year. The rates were going down 40%. And then I love temperatures like this in March because we're not using much heat. We will only use between 10 and 13% of our heat between April, May, and June. So at the end of this month, I'll know where our heat expense will be for this year, but we should be $25,000 under budget, which is helping. What will next year bring? We have a projected increase from NPU, but again, prices will change in November. So how much will they go up? That's another variable that would have to address in the budget. And then variable supplies, which include instructional supplies, PE supplies, music supplies, all the items we have somewhat a degree of control on. Since the budget freeze has been in place, we're going to save about $235,000 for that now. That's a credit to our teachers and staff on them tightening the belt. I actually felt awful about a week and a half ago. I believe it might have been someone from Aquatic. They needed to spend $60 on a program to get them through the year between March and June, and they want us to know if they have permission to do that. So I gave them credit for being conscious, but I felt awful that in a $90 million budget, we are worrying about spending $60 to benefit students. So looking at these items, between salaries and those items, it represents about 77% of our budget. And the deficit on these items would come to $1.9 million. So in the non-lapsing fund, which the Board of Ed has, that was established 2 years ago for the city, we have $1.4 million left in that. So I still have to work through transportation and legal fees and some other things. So at this point, we'd, beyond using the non-lapsing fund, would easily be $500,000 or more, needing an additional appropriation. So that's the gloom and doom for this year's budget. You have any questions about that? I'm glad to take
I just don't know what is worse, this year or next year, you know, it's.
If you recall, last year's budget year ended at $1.9 million in deficit, but special education costs were $2.2 million, so we had a budget freeze that was implemented in March. The district was able to mitigate that and reduce it. down to 1.9 million. And to cover that, came out of the non-lapsing fund. And the root causes for last year's problems are the same for this year. It's the unfunded state mandate, it's the deficiency in excess cost reimbursement, and then the continued escalation of special education services in general. They get worn out talking about the same things, but you're probably tired of hearing me. So with that, I'm gonna end.
Okay, any questions for Bob? All right, moving on, we go to 8.1, the motion to approve the education budget. Just want everyone to know, in the agenda, the wrong figure was put. It's not 100,242,000. The actual figure is 100,084,846. So right off the bat, I saved you 157,000.
Keep going.
All we need is another 10 meetings and we're good to go, right? And just to remind everyone here and in the audience that the budget, we're like midway in the budget process. Bob generally starts his budgets in December. It's in March now. We're coming to the approval process. Then we have the city sets their goals, what they can do. We have our back and forths. We have to wait for the legislature to figure out exactly what's coming from Hartford, what kind of help we can get, and then the final budget, what we actually have to work with, will be voted on by the city council in June. So we're still 3 months away from what the final figure. So the 100 million may or may not be the final figure. And also to remind everyone, we feel your pain just as much as you feel it, because we are all residents, voters, and taxpayers in Norwich. So we're all subjected to the same mill rates and tax burdens that everyone else in the city is. And the figure was shocking, but hey, it is what it is. It's I don't know, the state really has to figure out a different formula for funding education in this state, and figuring out special education costs. A lot of it stems from the fact that the federal government, the IDEA Act is what, some 30 years old now?
Yeah, we actually did talk about that, and please correct me if I misspeak, Susan, but Senator Austin told us, I believe it's federal government is supposed to fund it at 40% level, and they might be doing it at 6 or 8%. So if they can get the federal government to fund it even at 20%, it would have a huge impact. So I guess it flows down.
And I don't think hey, this particular Congress, the federal government, we're not going to get any relief. I think the entire session, they've only passed maybe 20 or 25 pieces of legislation. So this is being an election year for state and federal offices, probably the best thing you can do for this budget and future budgets is to get out and vote in November.
I think the simplest way to explain the shortfall in excess cost and from a taxpayer standpoint would be if you were a property owner in Norwich who when you get a tax bill for $10,000. You look at it and you say, well, my obligation is $10,000, but I only have $7,000. I'm sending you $7,000, then the shortfall is $3,000. Here you go, thank you. I don't think that would work well for the taxpayer or the city, and that's basically how this excess cost grant works. We budgeted in full faith that we would get the 91% that the law says, but the law has that 4 words subject to the appropriation. And even though the state did add $25 million to the overall pool, the increase in special education costs far exceeded that $25 million. And as a result, instead of getting 91%, we got 72.86%. And that's a 19% shortfall, and that's a really big number, and it hurts.
And it's not just Norwich, it's statewide. I mean, the larger cities, Bridgeport, Hartford, New Haven, they're multi-millions.
The fact that they do that causes you a budgeting dilemma, because you budget 91% and then reduce the budget, and then next year you're starting the year with a hole again. So that's the question to be answered.
But a lot of it stems from the federal mandates that are unfunded or that underfunded.
Well, honestly, there's been a few that have been coming through that have been completely unfunded, so it's like, you're gonna do this, figure it out, and
Right.
it's unfair to everyone across the board, because the districts have to find out how to meet that mandate, with no resources.
There's 2 examples, the menstrual product mandate and the educate to 22 the end of the school year. Previously, it was 21, and then they changed it to the end of the school year, and then last year they made it to 22. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's unfunded.
Again, it's another one of those unfunded mandates, and we're already looking at, a large budget increase. All it's going to take is for us to get 2 more special education students into the district over the next school year, and the anticipated budget is completely obliterated. We're going to be starting the year off in a huge deficit. Again, it's just, how do you correct that issue when everyone has your expectations up here, but they're only giving you money down here to meet those expectations?
Yeah. And if you read the statutes, it's very interesting, because in case law, it's written that cities can control the amount of money a Board of Education can spend within reason, but then it says Board of Educations have a statutory duty to follow the law and provide special education services and student transportation. So on the one hand, you can limit what you spend, but on the other hand, you have to fully spend it. So it creates this dilemma.
Okay, so I'm waiting for a motion to, anyone want to propose a motion to adopt the proposed budget? Okay, Kevin.
Motion to approve the 2024-2025 Norwich Board of Education proposed budget in the amount of $100,084,846.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
And second by Ellen. Okay, discussion.
Couple things. Being new to this process, the learning curve has been unbelievable since February. There's been 4 meetings that we've had. I'm going to vote in support of this, understanding that this is where we are today, March 12th. As I've gone through this process, there's a lot of revenue we don't know about. There's other considerations that may come into place that we can take a look at. But where we stand today on March 12th, these are the needs to fund the school system for next year, based on all the figures.
Yeah, that's correct. These numbers are high, and all the years I've been doing this, I've never seen percent increases like this, whether it's Norwich, Groton was 13%, and so on and so forth. The salary budget represents who's here now and the vacancies that are obviously in place for needed positions, 3rd and 4th grade. So there's no new programs here. This isn't a wish list. We'd like to create this and create that. And in normal budget processes, you wouldn't have a number this big. You'd be in the 3, 4, 5%. Last year was an abnormality where NFA was faced with declining enrollment, and they had to have a 7.25% increase, which was very impactful for us. So it's a very unusual time, and this is to fund the Board of Ed budget as is, what's in place now. There's no new programs. The $3.8 million of Alliance money hasn't been fully allocated yet, so that's an unknown. On the other hand, the programs being funded by ESSER 3 go away, the funding source, but the need for the programs and the staff doesn't. So that's going to be blended into the Alliance grant and the Board of Ed budget. So there's a lot of work that still needs to be done, and this is a little abnormal compared to 5 or 10 years ago.
Understand, and that's my point.
Yeah.
And if we look statewide and regionally wise, every school district's faced with the same thing in terms of large increases based on losing government money from a year ago and 2 years ago.
I looked at Hartford. Hartford's shortfall on excess cost funding was $3 million. So their shortfall's 4 or 5 times our cost, but there's 4 or 5 times our size, so it's proportional.
Yeah, understood. And I'm not saying that makes it okay to propose something $100 million. I'm not saying that at all. I get that. However, this is where we are today, and we have work to do. We need revenue, and we have considerations on other factors possibly, and we go from there. It's process. I've learned that real quick since February, our meetings began. It's process, and we're in the process right now.
Very well stated.
Right, and we have to start from a starting point, you know, and this is, we can only deal with what's in front of us right now, and Bob's projection, like you've built into the new budget an excess cost reimbursement rate of what, 72%?
72.9. So if the legislative body can come up with assurances that you'll, because they're gonna fund more money next year and you'll at least get 91%, we could reduce the budget by $530,000. Or you can roll the dice and take a chance. Yeah, I mean, it's, what did Einstein say? Keep doing the same thing over and over, expect a different result. That's insanity. And that's our state government when it comes to this.
Okay. So we have the motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll go through the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, we're in hybrid. Carlene, you're still on?
Yes, I said yes, and support.
Okay. So it's a yes from Carlene?
Yes.
Okay, Kevin?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Okay, that was a yes.
Yes.
Ella?
Yes.
Chris?
Unfortunately, yes.
And a very reluctant yes from me also. Motion passes unanimously.
Of course, with the hope that we can whittle it down.
Well, this is where we are today. I mean,
People
it's.
don't understand, this is our, like you said, our starting
It's,
point.
we have 3 months to hopefully get help from Hartford, get help from whatever. And maybe things will change and we can only hope for better results.
And the understanding, of course, is that they've already scrutinized it, the cabinet and everyone, and have tried to make cuts wherever possible. And we've been under the freeze since March and already, so it's already been great effort being made.
Since December.
Pardon?
Since December. No.
Okay, item 2.2, Board of, where are we? Motion for the board to approve the increasing educator diversity plan. Do you want to explain that, Susan?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna have Ms. on here for Sarah to do so. Sarah, would you like to come up and speak, please?
Hello, everyone. So the Increasing Educated Diversity Plan is a plan that's required by the state of Connecticut to show our efforts to make increases in employing diverse educators. So it does come with a grant funding. That is the IED grant that we got funding for this year. So the items that are in that plan are all funded through grant sources. So they're not coming out of your general budget. Last night, we met with the Equity Committee, which Mr. Stasio and Mr. Lovino were on. And we went over our strategies in order to do a wider search of recruiting teachers in the area. Since post-COVID, it has been very difficult to get a high number of applicants for a single teaching position. So we're looking to expand our efforts in recruitment of staff in the area, as well as looking at all of our hiring protocols and procedures to ensure that we're doing that in an equitable way and that we're reaching a wide variety of candidates. In addition, we're looking at our retention efforts. We had a significant decrease in retention over the last couple of years. So we're looking at working with our staff in order to provide training, development, collaborative voice at different intersections with curriculum development so that they are empowered and are able to be fully part of everything that we do. So it's our hope that through putting in these strategies, that we will increase our educator diversity. So for those that don't know, our district is currently 73% diverse students, and we currently have 12.6% diverse educators.
Which has improved since I first came on board, so.
Yes, 3 years ago, we had 6.1% diverse educators, and then we introduced what was called the TRP program, which is a very intensive residency program for candidates of diverse backgrounds to become certified teachers. And from that program and the addition of some of our bilingual education programs, we went from 6.1 to 11.5, and now we're at 12.2. So we are making growth in that area.
Okay, and this plan is fully grant funded, no board funds, no city funds would have to be expended on this. All right. Motion to, let's put the motion on the floor first.
Credit will make that motion.
All right, do I have a second?
Second, John Iavino seconds.
Okay. And now you can discuss.
I know this probably goes without saying, but I just hope that our standards are always kept up here.
Absolutely.
And that's.
All right, Carlene, you had a comment?
Yes, I just had a quick question for Sarah. How did you determine the 30% increase in terms of the new increase estimation?
So currently the state data is not out. So we worked with Mary Ellen, our HR director, and she provided us with all of the demographic information, which is self-reported. So the self-reported demographic information from all of our staff. Teaching staff, yes. It's very important to note that this is teaching staff. We are going to pull the data per the request of your board members last night on all staff in Norwich and what that representation looks like, but this is only referring to certified teachers.
Okay, so it doesn't include any other.
It includes anyone who's in the NTL, so your psychologists, your social workers, all of them. It would not include your paraeducators, your cafeteria staff, or your custodian groups.
Okay.
Correct, admin assistants.
Or the administrators either, right?
Correct.
Okay. Any further discussion?
So you mentioned that this is grant funded, it's not coming up from the Board of Education operation budget. How much is the grant and what's the duration of this grant funding?
So we apply for the grant every year. It's not a competitive grant. It is an entitlement grant. So we do submit it every year with the intent that we will receive it. They will send it back to us if they need feedback or adjustments. This year's grant was $128,000 and some change. Can't remember the change and I don't want to misquote. We will be writing to reapply for that grant for this summer. Once again, it's an entitlement grant, so as long as we continue to apply for it and meet their requirements, we would receive that. There was talk at the state level, however, as you knew from the last meeting, it may or may not happen that they would be increasing that particular grant by another 3%.
Thank you, Sarah.
Welcome.
Okay, any other further questions? Okay, we'll call for a vote. Carleen?
Yes.
Okay, Kevin?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Ella?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
And myself is also a yes. It is passes unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, let's move on to 8.3, discussion possible action regarding healthy food certification. These are annual certifications that we make for these particular grants, which go to our food service providers. The motion is written out here. Anyone want to submit the motion?
This is Ella, I'll make that motion.
Okay, and could you read it, please?
Just the recommended action that it says on here.
Yes,
Okay.
that's fine.
Pursuant to CGS Section 10-215F, the Norwich Public School Board of Education certifies that all food items offered for sale to students in the schools under its jurisdiction and not exempted from the Connecticut nutritional standards published by the Connecticut State Department of Education will comply with the Connecticut nutrition standards during the period of July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. This certification shall include all food offered for sale to students separately from reimbursable meals at all times and from all sources, including but not limited to school stores, vending machines, school cafeterias, culinary programs, and any fundraising activities on school premises sponsored by the school or non-school organizations and groups.
Could I have a second, please? John seconds. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, let's go in the opposite direction. Chris?
Yes.
Ella?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Carleen?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. Passes unanimously. Action item 8.4, this is another one of the food exemption. Could I have a motion, please?
This is Ella, I'll make that motion.
Okay, and again, can you read?
Yep, I make a motion to approve the certification. The Norwich Public School Board of Education will not allow the sale to students of food items that do not meet the Connecticut nutrition standards, provided that the following conditions are met. One, the sale is in connection with an event occurring after the end of the regular school day or on the weekend. Two, the sale is at the location of the event. And three, the food items are not sold from a vending machine or school store. An event is an occurrence that involves more than just a regularly scheduled practice, meeting, or extracurricular activity. For example, soccer games, school plays, and interscholastic debates are events, but soccer practices, play rehearsals, and debate team meetings are not. The regular school day is the period from midnight before to 30 minutes after the end of the official school day. Location means where the event is being held and must be the same place as the food sales.
And could I have a second?
I second.
Okay, Heather seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none. Chris?
Yes.
Carleen?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Ella,
Yes.
and myself also yes, Mark. Okay. This brings us to unfinished business. Action item 9.1. Basically, what we're going to do here is consolidate the previous first reads of policies. What I'd like for this motion is to have you actually read the motion, and then I could just give the policy number and the title. And if anyone has any objections to a particular policy, we could raise it during discussion. Okay, could I have a motion, please?
So Mark, you're just referring to 9.1 that has.
That's the consolidation
Oh,
of.
that has all of them.
That has all of them
I thought that
listed
was other ones.
to save us
All right.
time,
No, I'm
because we
grasping
knew it
it
was
now.
gonna be a long meeting, so. Kevin?
Motion to approve the technical, substantive and definition revisions deemed necessary to existing policies. Number 5143, number 5131.08, number 5131.08.01, number 5121, number 5135, number 5141.05, number 4111.2, number 4118.4, -4218.4, number 5114, number 5119, and number 5122. The administration should incorporate the technical changes into the current policy where appropriate, leaving unaffected language unchanged.
And can I have a second?
This is Ella, I'll second.
Okay, second by Ella. Any discussion? Chris?
I want a clarification on, I'm trying to find the notes, I know, and I read it earlier. That, regarding the discrimination and pensions, for participating in sports, et cetera. For participating in anything, actually. And,
Which policy are we
that
talking?
can't be discriminated against.
Policy 5131.
Thank you, Heather, for the gender identity.
Okay.
Section 3, other definitions, discrimination, it's highlighted green.
Which policy are you on?
It is 5131.08.01.
Okay, so that was 9.4 in our policy, in our
Safe school
agenda.
climate. Safe school climate. Is that 9.4? Yes, sorry. Number
The
disappeared.
section, the section subtitle is Safe School Climate.
Safe school climate. Okay.
Yeah, I see it now. Thank you.
I think,
This one.
I think that was a new, well, it's not new, it's a change of definitions, which basically is a change that the legislature enacted. So this is just parroting what's in state law.
we just wanted, we were just, looking for some clarification. Does that now mean that our girls' sports are no longer, I mean, I understand we have to protect everybody's rights, but at the same time, I want to make sure that we're protecting our female athletes' rights to make sure that boys who are biologically stronger and faster shouldn't be able to compete with them. And we just want to make sure that we're protecting it. I know we don't have it coming up now, but I'd rather be ahead of the game than it coming back and we have to retrack again. So I just wanted to make, as a former female athlete, this is concerning for me and for my daughters.
The mother of two female athletes.
Is that a state statute? Is that a state guideline, statute?
State and federal.
State and federal?
Yeah, if you look at the bottom, it goes, on the last page, it gives the legal and it quotes all the statutes there that it covers. Statute and in the State Department of Education, the various circular letters which are explanatory text, with the last one being July 19th of 2019.
So I just want to make sure the public is aware that we should accept this policy that, well, I'm not accepting it, but whether it's state mandated or not, but that's this one.
If you want, we could remove this from the thing and submit it back to our attorneys for clarification.
Yes, I would prefer that, just because, while I believe in protecting everybody, we also have to remember that women also had to fight for their rights, and possibly putting that kind of stipulation on it is not protecting all of we have to protect everybody.
We're not putting our girls at risk.
Okay.
We've already fought too hard for the things that we've gotten. I don't want to see the women going back.
All right, so I think what we'll have to do is amend the motion, and with the amended motion to remove this policy for resubmit it to the policy committee for reconsideration.
So that we can maybe figure something that we can protect everybody.
I believe that that's in that statement is in other policies that we're looking at tonight also.
Yes.
I believe it's in bullying
It's
prevention.
in bullying and prevention.
Okay, so which policy is that?
5131.08 bullying and prevention.
Okay, so it's in the previous one also.
Because it's in the definition of the discrimination, because it's, we've added all those different, we have, the domestic violence and veterans and
Right, but
all of the,
yeah, I believe our legal team just basically, they parrot exactly what the redefinition is from the state legislature. If you want, we can
but if we
remove those two for reconsideration then.
absolutely, that would make us feel a little bit.
Okay, so whoever makes the motion to just say we'll amend the motion on the floor to remove those two policies and for reconsideration to the policy
Would
committee.
you like me to
Yeah,
try to do that?
if you could do that.
I'm gonna attempt.
Just say.
All right,
To make, I'm gonna
Just
attempt.
say I move to what he said.
Make a motion to amend the motion to remove the bullying prevention intervention and the school safe climate plan, and we'll look at them at another date, after we speak to our leaders.
Okay,
Oh.
could I have a second?
Krista Stacy, I'll second that.
Okay, and any further discussion on that, on the amended motion?
I just had a quick question because policy 5121 is where the bulk of that
Oh, yes.
language is included. So I just wanted to
Good catch.
mark that.
Good catch, so it would be
I don't know if that was
9.49596.
So we want to include 5121 also to remove that?
Correct.
Good call, Carlene.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll remove those three policies. So the amended motion will read, to remove 5131.08, 5131.08.01, and policy 5121 from consideration and resubmit to the policy committee.
I did have one more
Yeah.
point that I wanted, she just mentioned.
All right, go ahead.
on the use of the, district computers, employee use of the district computer systems. In that,
Well, let's first cover this, because so the amended motion is on the floor. Any discussion on the amended motion? Okay, so we have to vote first on the amended motion. Okay. Christine,
Yes.
Carleen? This is for the amended motion to remove those three policies from consideration tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm also a yes. Kevin?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Heather?
yes.
And Ella?
Yes.
Okay, so those three policies are removed. So it brings us back to the original motion, discussion on the original motion.
No, I have more discussion on under 4,000 personnel. 4118.4/4218.4.
That's what you had a question.
Yeah,
I'd like some clarification, in the, third paragraph down regarding, using the social networking sites. In addition, review of electronic messaging systems, including email, et cetera, and ending with TikTok. I just want clarification as to whether, that's disallowing use of TikTok, correct?
I believe so.
Not, yeah, they're not, I believe they're not allowed to be using it on the
On our
property
servers.
or the.
And also on the
school
student
Wi-Fi.
use, it's in the
Correct.
student use one also.
No, but actually, I could not find the TikTok
Yeah, it's
in
not
the student
mentioned,
one,
that's
so
why-
that was
yeah.
my big question is, I
That's
see
why
it
it wasn't mentioned.
mentioning for the employees, but under the students, where the students' use of the schools.
It's in the administrative regulations, I think. I don't know why it's not.
Student use of district computers.
I don't know why it's different.
So that was just concerning to us, because honestly, I don't really care if a teacher wants to look at, I'm concerned about our young minds being on TikTok while
I
we're
don't
at
want to
school.
utilize for any kind of lesson.
No, I don't want
at
to
school.
utilize it, but I'm just saying, it just seems like it was.
I have one question with the student computers. Aren't there a lot of things that are blocked that they can't access with that?
There's walls. They don't always work.
They don't always work though, because I can assure you, I have two teenagers and the things that I've seen them on their school Chromebook, I'm like, what? These kids are smart and with doing coding and all these different things that there are ways to get around things and. But that was my only concern, was that it was written in the employee use of the district computers, but it wasn't put in on the student use of district computers.
Like Amber just said, it's in the administrators, but it's not in the students.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it's
which
under
policy do you
administrative
want?
regulations, so I don't know why it's in the administrative regulations for students, but in the actual policy for.
So that's a question for our attorneys.
So you want to remove 5119 and resubmit that,
Correct.
which is the student use. So the one for the employee would be all right.
Yes, it's just concerning that.
I guess that's what it's saying.
Okay, so again, we need to amend and do an amended motion for the removal of that particular policy.
So I make a motion to amend the student use of district computer systems 5119 back to the policy committee.
And could I have a second?
Krista Stacy, I'll second that.
Any further discussion on the amended motion? So we vote on that amended motion. Carleen?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Ella?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
And myself also a yes. So that also is removed. Brings us back to the original motion, which is the approval of the rest of the policies. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll call it for a vote then. Chris,
Yes.
Carleen,
Yes.
Ella,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
and myself also a yes. All the other policies have been approved unanimously. Okay, brings us to committee reports. No, unfinished business, that was it for unfinished business,
Yeah,
yep.
right.
Okay. Committee reports, budget expenditure, I think we've covered that for tonight. We had our final budget expenditure committee meeting. We've approved the budget as presented. The ad hoc budget 10.2 has not yet been scheduled. Those dates are to be determined. Negotiation committee, just a brief, we are starting soon, I believe, another week, and we'll be starting meeting for the para-educators, renegotiation of their contracts. Kevin, you submitted a report on the policy committee, any?
No, just the first read that we had last month was for tonight's meeting, and we voted on a bunch of them, and then those that have been amended will go back to the policy committee. But we, if I'm not mistaken, we have a policy committee this coming Thursday.
Yes.
Okay. That brings us to 10.5, liaisons. School building committee. Chris, you want to give a report or not?
You go for it.
All right.
Not much.
Yeah, well, basically what it was we paid the invoices, they discussed the design progress on the buildings, the layout of the educational spaces. We had a discussion on the exterior layout and playing fields and how the topography of the Greenville site and the work needed to be done to upgrade the wetlands maps for the standing site. Also, I believe there was a proposal to do an RFP for the hiring of a compliance officer for the grant.
That's right.
So all of that has to go on. So that's work that the committee has been doing. The IDCS and the Learn report were both on Greg. The NFA liaison, we had their presentation tonight. Basically, I went to their meetings, and whatever they discussed tonight was what was covered in those meetings. John, any report on Otis Library?
Nothing to report at this time.
Okay, and the Norwich Public School Foundation, Education Foundation, we had a meeting last week. We approved spring grants of over around $100 in 10 different projects. And we are continually looking for interested parents, teachers, community members to join us as members or on the executive committee. So anyone who's interested, please contact the NPS Educational Foundation. Our next meeting for that one is April 2nd at 6 o'clock at the Seacard Gallery. Okay, there are additional reports, the budget report, enrollment, and personnel reports in your packets. Which brings us to the motion to enter executive session. Could I have a motion, please, John?
Pursuant to Connecticut General Statute 1-200, members of the Board of Education move to go into executive session for discussion of the employment and performance of acting superintendent Susan Lassard. The board may ask acting superintendent Susan Lassard to participate in some or all the executive session discussion.
Okay, could I have a second, please? Could I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Carleen? You in favor on the executive session? Okay, Carleen also votes yes. Are we ready? Tom?
Let me put the whiskey away.
Yeah, hang on. Feels good?
Now this is on.
Now audio is
Okay.
good.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, it's 9:11. We're now out of executive session. No votes were taken during executive session. Could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Could I have a second?
Stacy, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And it is unanimous. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful night, everyone. Imaginary people.